Today we are talking about the most common question I get when it comes to newborn sleep in particular. Note, I said newborn because there's different talking points when we're talking about different age groups. And you might be thinking the number one question is, when will my baby sleep through the night? And that is a hot second. The third most common question is also, do I have to give up all night feeds? But here's the most commonly asked question when it comes to newborn sleep. People ask, will I have to let my baby cry? And the answer is absolutely not. But what it tells me is that people are really thinking about sleep in a very narrow frame. We don't think about it this way, but newborn sleep, baby sleep too, parallels a lot adult sleep in many, many ways. Here's what I mean by that. A great stretch of nighttime sleep is all about having had good building block activities and feedings during the daytime to help you set up that little one for a long stretch of nighttime sleep. For all intents and purposes in this conversation, when I say newborn, I'm going to say 3 months or less. Technically, the medical definition is up to 28 days, but I hear people talking about newborn sleep up to 4 months out in the world. So for our intents and purposes, we're going to say 3 months or less. So the number one question is, will I have to let my baby cry? And the answer is no. Here's what you need to be thinking about though. In the Helping Baby Sleep method, the art and science of teaching your baby sleep, the number one pillar really is about prevention. It's about you understanding what your child's feeding and sleeping needs are, or if you're a postpartum doula watching this, what your client's feeding and sleeping needs are, and trying to anticipate those needs. So when I was going through this, I'm a chiropractor by training. I breastfed 2 kids till age of 1. I sat on the board of the Mother's Milk Bank. I'm a certified lactation counselor. And when I was going through this the first time, I read a book and it said, never let your baby wait for a feed. And I was like, yeah, heck right. I am never letting my baby wait for a feed. And feeding on demand is super important if you're breastfeeding in that first month. Super, super important. But after your milk supply is established, 4, 5, 6 weeks, then you might be thinking much more intentionally about your baby's sleep habits. The thing is, the first time we're going through this, we don't know what's coming up. We're going in blind. We have very little training and often very limited resources. So we don't know what's happening. But here's the thing. While the drive to sleep is physiological, right? Your newborn baby wakes up, eats, and basically falls right back asleep in that first month. Their awake time is teeny tiny, and most it's 45 minutes, and probably 3/4 of that is spent eating. But and you think, oh my gosh, what are they talking about feeding to sleep? That seems to be all they can do, and that is true. But then as they get older, 2 months, 3 months, that awake window will be stretching to be about an hour and a half. And what is the awake window? The awake window is the time from when they woke up from sleeping, when their body is ready to be sleeping again. And this is based on the homeostatic system in all of our human bodies that regulates sleep, one of the systems. You also have the circadian rhythm, which in babies and newborns is highly irregular. It's very weakly regulated in newborns. And so the research shows they may sleep in 3 to 4 chunks kind of throughout the clock. But as they age, that will get more organized because their circadian rhythm in their brain starts to mature and is fully mature by about 6 months of age. There's definitely leap points that you may have noticed. There's one definitely around 4 months of age as well, even around 10 weeks. 10 to 12 weeks tends to be when that witching period, that fussy period between 6 and 9 p.m. starts to get a little bit easier. It's also when their body starts to produce their own melatonin, which is also helpful in regulating that system. So for newborn sleep, you absolutely do not have to let your baby cry. The whole point of newborn sleep is to be preventative and try and be meeting and anticipating needs. And so in the book, we talk about the 5 pillars of the Helping Baby Sleep method. And I teach this to postpartum doulas in my certification course as well. Number 1 is really prevention. I'm watching the baby. I'm trying to avoid becoming overtired, especially in that first and second month. Being overtired by 15 minutes can mean a lot. It can be a very difficult time then. Compared to, say, a 7-month-old, you keep them awake 15 minutes longer than anticipated, not a big deal. So, anticipating needs. The second one is going to be about timing. So putting kids down too early or too late can make it harder for them. The third pillar in the newborn stage is really, are you being an intentional feeder? In particular, after that first month when you're really feeding a lot on demand, are you using food to soothe or are you using food to fuel? We want to have full feeds as frequently as the baby wants, but just notice, are they full feeds? Otherwise, they can be using that breast to go to sleep, boredom, the need to burp can be masked by that, There's not that there's anything wrong with any of those things. It's just that if you're trying to optimize sleep in the newborn stage, these are the things that you want to be thinking about. And the reason I know this is because with my first, I was trying to be very much led by the baby, following all of his cues. And I ended up feeding him every 2 hours back to sleep until he was about 4.5 months, and I was completely exhausted. Okay? So with my second, I was like, no, I'm not going to be doing that again. I'm not going down that sleep abyss. And I started implementing these tactics. She was about 3 weeks of age. In the book, I talk about 4 to 6 weeks. As long as your milk supply, if you're breastfeeding or you're formula feeding, that weight gain's going well and you're getting things on track, then you can be a little bit more intentional. So feeding is in the driver's seat that first month, and then feeding and sleeping can both be in the driver's seats in the second and third month. The fourth pillar is anticipating the needs and actually assisting. So here's the thing about, do I have to let my baby cry? Why would you do that? You would do that after 4 months of age, once you had worked on all the other gentle things that you might be able to do to help that child sleep better. So timing, feeding, routines, weaning off of maybe some rocking, working on more padding. It's all behavioral approaches, but there are some kids that are not very flexible to change. They're often very smart and there's wonderful things about them, okay? But some people can work on sleep without tears, and other people just cannot. It just does not work after 4 months of age. And those people might have to step back and let those kiddos cry for a little bit to have the opportunity to think about another way of relaxing themselves into sleep. The parent can still be in the room, but this is not at the newborn stage necessarily. This is older. And basically, sleep training or teaching should be called sleep reteaching. This is the most important thing about this video, because in the 6 to 12 week stage is when you're actually imprinting what sleep looks like. So if you are rocking to sleep, what's going to happen is you'll get some nice long stretches of sleep, probably while they're still swaddled in that 3 month stretch. And then you will hit the 4 month sleep regression, which will happen around 4.5 months, and your baby will start to wake up maybe every 3 hours. Maybe those long naps might go away. And now what's going to happen is your baby associates rocking with falling asleep. So they will call to you and you will be responsible for rocking back to sleep. And for lots of people that works just great. But I tend to work with people who are tired and that doesn't work so great for them. And so we work on other ways of approaching that problem. But going back to the newborn stage, no, we're not letting that baby cry. However, I want you to be a really good detective, because I want you to solve the root issue as to why your child is not calm. There's usually a reason, right? That's their way of communicating to you. Is it because they're hungry? Is it because they have to burp? Is it because they're actually overstimulated and overtired? Do they have gas? Or what else could it be? So while we don't want to let kids cry, we also don't want to just mute those tears by trying feeding them to mute the tears. We're sticking a pacifier in. We want to be honing our other parenting skills and going down our short list of all the possible things that could be causing it to help alleviate the root issue. Key takeaways. We imprint what sleep looks like between that 6 and 12 week marks. And then we do sleep reteaching after 4 months to undo those habits that we inadvertently established earlier on. However, you absolutely can be working on newborn sleep very gently, being intentional, having full feedings, working on timing, routines, and troubleshooting. That's the 5th pillar of the helping newborn sleep method, is troubleshooting. So if my child's having a hard time, what could it be? Thinking about their digestive system, thinking about the environment, thinking about when their last feed was, looking at their feeds, how well are they feeding, are they getting any air in, all of those things. If you're a new parent watching this, you can learn all of this inside of the book. It's on Amazon or Audible, or if that's not the way you learn, then you can take the online class. It's just over an hour and it's located in our bio, and it teaches you everything you need to know. If you're a postpartum doula watching this and you're like, yes, this is the exact methodology, it's simple, I want to be implementing this with my clients, I have a certification coming up starting April 16th, and I would love to have you in it and share this wisdom that I've learned over 10 plus years of working with families.